When the Paldea region was first announced and Pokemon Generation 9 first came to life, a lot of people speculated that the region was based in Australia. Now, it turned out that this wasn't the case, but an Australian Pokemon region would be really exciting and would be packed with a lot of scary yet amazing Pokemon choices. Now, I'm going to go over a couple of animals that I think that are native to Australia that would be perfect for the Pokemon region, and I want you guys to let me know down below what you think. Now, these Pokemon or animals that I'm going to be suggesting to be Pokemon are going to be a couple of starter options and also Pokemon that you can find around the region. I have a couple of legendary suggestions that I have found around the Australian region, but none of these are going to be fossil Pokemon. If you guys want to see a potential additional list of Pokemon that you could include, let me know down below. I'll be happily to go through and find some more Pokemon that could fit a list like this. But without further ado, let's introduce the starter Pokemon. Let's kick things off with the fire-type starter Pokemon. A Tasmanian Devil is local to the Tasmanian area of Australia, and these things are vicious. This, in the name Devil, is definitely perfect to be the fire-type starter. I could imagine this thing having flames coming off it, or maybe spitting fire from its fangs. These things literally rip apart everything. They're mostly scavengers, but I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and hunt their own prey as well. These things are just scary to look at, and as a potential fire type starter, it definitely fits the scheme of intimidating Pokemon. Now, Generation 9 introduced us to the Fuecoco evolution line, which is kind of a crocodile slash dinosaur hybrid. Now, we could also make this Pokemon stand on two legs. I know the Pokemon community like that or dislike that for some people, but a Tasmanian Devil would be perfect to play the fire type starter Pokemon. Just look at this thing. It could have Intimidate as a hidden ability. It's just perfect. Now, my suggestion for a water type starter would be a Platypus. Now, Platypus are really cute, but they also are quite venomous. So if you wanted to make this Pokemon evolve into a water poison type, which I don't think we've had as a starter before, I could see this thing having a lot of potential as a Pokemon starter. Now, this could evolve into a massive Platypus with like razor sharp teeth in their bills, but it has a lot of potential, and I definitely think this suits the starter Pokemon gimmick where the first evolution could be nice and cute and then evolve into something a little bit more intimidating, and then their final evolution is just really amazing. But Platypus definitely deserve to be introduced to an Australian Pokemon generation or Pokemon area, and I think this would be an amazing starter choice. Now, my grass type starter was kind of hard to pick, but I've gone with a Wombat. And you can kind of follow along with the Turtwig evolution line with the Wombat. You can have this thing being a cute little starter and then evolving to maybe a massive Wombat with plants on its back or some sort of bush on its back. Wombats are really cute, but are quite vicious when they want to be. This animal could be an amazing starter choice. Like I said with the Platypus, it fits the evolution kind of line with starters being nice and cute at the start, and then you could make this thing be nice and scary at the end. This also has potential just to be one of the Route 1 normal types, but I really think Wombats have a great potential to be a starter Pokemon, and especially be a grass type starter, just because they're nice and furry and have a lot of potential to be covered in grass or covered in plants and belong in the grass area or grass typing. Now, moving away from the starter Pokemon, we can go into some Pokemon that have already kind of made it into the Pokemon games, but definitely deserve maybe a regional variant, and they're kangaroos and koalas. Obviously, both these animals are from Australia, so having them found in the early routes of the Pokemon region would be really cool to see. Maybe we could have like a normal dark type koala, because in Australia, there is a myth that drop bears are real and koalas are actually vicious, but normally when I see koalas, they're normally pretty chill, but you could also expand on kangaroos and have this thing being a normal fighting type or a ground fighting type, and have this thing be amazing in the Pokemon region. Now, these two animals are definitely warranted a retexture, because we do have Kamala, and Kamala's pretty mid, and we don't actually have 100% a kangaroo Pokemon. I know Breloom is kind of based off a kangaroo, but we definitely deserve a kangaroo Pokemon of its own. There are a couple of obscure animals that you could turn into Pokemon, and there's also a plant. Now, dingoes are perfect. They could be a dark type Pokemon, or potentially even be an electric type or fire type, because they are found out in the deserts, and dingoes have a myth that they eat babies, so you could potentially spin this into some sort of lore in the Pokemon region, but an Australian game would be incomplete without a dingo as a Pokemon. You could also turn the kangaroo paw plant into a Pokemon as well. This thing can also be a potentially legendary Pokemon because Kangaroo Paw has a lot of legend in Australian myths. So this could be also a really interesting plant to turn into a Pokemon. I know Pokemon regions like having their regional plants turned into Pokemon. We saw that in Generation 9, and we see that quite a bit with early Pokemon found in the region. So just a couple of other Pokemon or other animals, sorry, you can turn into Pokemon. This could be a really interesting choice, but maybe not one that people think about a lot. Now, this one might be a stretch, but I believe echidnas definitely deserve to be in an Australian Pokemon region and potentially be a pseudo-legendary. Now, echidnas are quite rare and they're quite exclusive to certain areas of Australia, so these things definitely could be potentially a pseudo-legendary. You can have this thing evolve into an absolute spiky beast, and I believe this Pokemon definitely deserves a spot in an Australian Pokemon region. They're one of my favorite animals found in Australia, and if you brought this to a Pokemon game, I believe this could be a fan favorite. Echidnas that are super cute and definitely deserve a spot in a region. I hope everyone agrees with me. Let me know down below what you think of echidnas in a Pokemon game. Moving on to the two animals that I believe could be perfect legendary Pokemon. One is found on land and the other one is found mostly in water. You can go with cassowaries as one legendary and then saltwater crocodiles as the other. Cassowaries are quite fiery and quite aggressive in nature, so you can make them a fire type, while saltwater crocodiles are a bit slower but more aggressive in the water, so you can make this a water dragon type or potentially a water rock type. These animals are feared by a lot of Australians, and that's what I believe you want in a legendary Pokemon. You want people to be quite scared of you so they don't take the mickey and try and catch you and try and take advantage of you, and these two are prominent Australian animals that are feared and definitely would make perfect legendary Pokemons for an Australian-based region. Now, I want to suggest a Pokemon professor for the Australian-based Pokemon region, and there's only one person that could take this job. Steve Irwin is one of the biggest legends that's ever come from Australia and is loved worldwide by all Australians. Having Steve Irwin immortalized as a Pokemon professor would be perfect for an Australian region. This guy is just perfect. He loves animals or loved animals and would love Pokemon the same. Steve Irwin is my shout for the Pokemon professor for the region. Now, we have a lot of birds like magpies and crows that we could throw in this region as well, but this is just my list for now. If you guys want to see more of these videos, I'll be happily to go through, do some research, find some awesome animals that we can throw into a Pokemon region that's based in Australia. But for now, let me know down below what Pokemon or what animal you'd like to see as a Pokemon in an Australian region, and I'll see you guys on the next video.